Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and on today's video I'm doing part 2 of the beginner's guide to snow goose hunting. And on today's video I'm going to be talking about the 2 different ways you can hunt snow geese with decoys, and I'm going to be talking about a few tips and tricks that I use in different weather conditions to increase your success out there in the snow goose field. So hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you just learned something as always, and if you do, please hit that subscribe button, leave us a like. We would greatly appreciate it, and let's go ahead and get into the video. There's 2 different ways to hunt snow geese with decoys. You can hunt feeds, or you can hunt migrators, or run traffic, as most people say. The first way I'm going to talk about here is hunting feeds. Now, hunting feeds is basically you get in your truck, you drive around, do some scouting, find a bunch of geese in a field, and then you try to lock down permission on that field. Once you get permission, then you go up and wait for the geese to leave, and then go set your decoys. Now, the best way that I like to do this is do in the evening, drive around, find birds out feeding that afternoon, let them get up off the field, and then go in there and set the decoys after they leave. Now, the only reason I wouldn't go ahead and set the decoys up right away is if I'm going to have frost in the morning, and I don't want frost all over my decoys, because if you're going to have sunshine and that sun gets up, that frost is just going to shine like crazy and look like you got glitter all over your decoys. So I suggest if you're going to have frost the next morning to get in there super early, get everything set up, and then that way you can wait on them and your decoys will be frostless. Hunting feeds can be super effective, especially if you've got multiple roosts going into that field. That way, you know, you're getting a bunch of geese coming from here, you're getting a bunch of geese coming from there, and they're not all just getting up all at once, and then you get one good spin, and then that's the end of your hunt. So if you have multiple roosts, you can you get multiple spins, multiple good shots, and you should do well if everything goes as the plan or in your favor, which hardly ever happens snow goose hunting. But hunting feeds, there are some downsides to it. If there's a lot of geese in an area and you got a field with geese in it, you're not going to be the only one there looking at them. I guarantee you that, especially around here. You've got competition with outfitters, other hunters. Outfitters have scouts constantly out driving around, or landowners don't want to give you permission. You're going to run into some things there. And also, when we've hunted feeds before, there'd be thousands of geese in this field, and we waited for them to leave, get in there and set up, and we're thinking, man, tomorrow morning we're gonna have a beat down. Get in there that next morning, the geese don't even show up. That's a bad thing about hunting snow geese in the springtime, is you may see them in a field, that afternoon, but when they leave, they can migrate in the middle of the night. They'll get up and just head on north, and then you get there and set your decoys up, and then they won't show up. And that's what sucks, because you rush through it and you're all excited, and then you get kicked in the butt like that, and you're like, gosh dang it, why? it sucks, trust me, but that's a risk you're going to take when hunting feed birds, and when it works, it works, and when it doesn't, it doesn't. But one thing you want to do when you're finding feeds too is try to find it in an area with a good migration path, where there's a geese going from point A to point B, and they're flying over you to go to point B, so that way you can get some good shots on the feed birds that morning, and then maybe after that you can catch those migrators and maybe try and pull some of them down and to add to your hunt too. So but hunting feeds can be very frustrating. It's very you got to give up an evening hunt to go scout. You gotta you spend a lot on gas money, and then you got to try to lock down permission, and then there's no guarantee, which there's no guarantee in hunting anyways, but don't think it's going to be a sure thing when you go set up on them. That's just all I'm trying to get that point across anyways. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is hunting migrators or running traffic. This is the way we hunt them. The way I like to do it is I like to find a field that I've seen geese in before in years past, because I know the geese like that field. There's something about that field that the geese do like. I don't like just going and finding a cornfield that looks good and then setting up in it, because there may be something in that field those geese don't like. We've ran into that before. We'll be setting up in the field, geese will work in, and all of a sudden they'll go to another spot in the field and land, and then before you know it, you have a huge feed. And that's not necessarily anything you've done. It just may be that spot they don't like, or I mean, it could be snow geese too, but I usually just try to find a field that I've seen geese in years past, and then try to set up in that field when it's corn, because we do crop rotations here. So within a couple years, when that's corn again, we'll set up in that field where we saw those geese, and try to run traffic on the birds flying over it. And running traffic, you want to make sure you're in an area where you're catching geese going from point A to point B, and then from point A they're going out in the evenings to feed, or point B they're just kind of just going through there some way. So just try to find a good area where the birds are flying over to head to their next destination. Now this can be tough because birds have it in their mind where they want to go. I mean, that's snow geese, and they've got a spot where they want to go, they're going. But you can get those days where for some reason the geese decide they want to feed, and then you just happen to be there and they're flying over and they see geese, and then they start bombing you. We've had some super good hunts doing this, and this is the way we've hunted them for years, and I know a lot of people hunt them this way. A lot of times, to be real successful, you got to run a lot of decoys. Have some motion like rotary machines or clones or something, and then have your e-collars blasting. You don't have to have them turned all the way up, but just portray like a bunch of geese is down there, just getting with it to just draw those birds into that area. Now hunting traffic, you do a lot of bird watching. That's just a given. I mean, that's just snow geese hunting in general. But you're going to watch a lot of geese fly over you, and then you'll get the occasional bunch. It's like, hey, geese. They'll come down and work you, and then you'll get a freak day where the geese just want to just be there, and then just about every bunch you see wants to come down and give you a shot opportunity. So I definitely keep that in mind when you're running traffic. You're not all the days are the same. Now the best days to do this, and the best days to hunt snow geese in general, is with sunshine and wind. On migrating days, I like south winds. I know there's guys that like north winds, but I like south winds. I've had way better hunts on south winds than I have on north winds. Not sure exactly why. I know that wind at their tail, and they're pushing north. They say it pushes them faster and they don't want to stop, but it just seems like north winds I've just had no luck on. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just me, but I haven't. My best days have been on south winds, especially southeast winds. So the one thing I like about running traffic is, I mean, seeing birds as high as you can see, I mean, even higher than what you can see, and then you just watch them just slowly parachute their way down, because snow geese work vertical. And you're just watching them slowly getting bigger as they're coming down. And sometimes you'll see them flipping, maple leafing, and that is just a sight to see, especially when you get one bunch started, then another bunch, and then another bunch, and then before you know it, you have 5,000 on top of you. There's just nothing better than that. And running traffic is a little bit easier on a guy too, because you show up to the field, set all your decoys out, and then that's where you stay for the portion of the season, and you just count on those geese to migrate and fly over you. I know it sounds like a lazy man's way of doing it, but really it's the most efficient. You're going to spend less money doing that, and it can be more effective too. So that's running traffic in a nutshell. So if you don't have the option to hunt feeds, don't give up, run traffic. We've done it with 300 decoys and had success. You just make sure you get all the decoys, take like 30% of your decoys, make them tight around you, and then take the other 70% and just scatter them out throughout the field, just to make that footprint a little bit bigger, to make your decoy spread look a little bit bigger, and it can be super effective. We're talking about weather conditions a little bit, and how to set your decoys for different weather conditions. When it's super windy, this is really the only time that you really ever need to change anything. When it's super windy, the geese like to get downwind of your spread, and they like to crawl. They swing out, get real low down on the downwind side, and then they'll start crawling up to you. I'm not really sure why they do that. I think because they're not fighting the wind as bad. But what we do is we open up that bottom end. We don't have any decoys down there on high wind days. We either make a U shape, a J shape, or a crescent moon shape, and just to get them centered up right in front of you as they're crawling up the decoys. With our flyers and stuff, we'll take our rotary machines down at that point, and we'll take our flyers, we'll put them low to the ground behind us, kind of mimicking what they're doing, and they'll just center on, they'll focus on those, and they'll crawl up to you right over you. And a lot of times you can get a good shot. Now with the e-collars, we turn our e-collars up a little bit, and as they get closer, we start turning them down. You know, if you're able to do that, that's great. If you can't, just turn it up, you know, about 3/4 of the way and just leave it. You should be fine. Now on no-wind days, I like to run a kill hole, and I'll take my flyers and my rotary machines and put in front of me, and I'll run my e-collars on about half, and just to get those geese to center up right over that hole, get them working that hole, and they should center up good for you. But on no wind days, it's tough to decoy geese anyways because there's no motion. The only thing you're relying on is your rotary machines or clones if you have them. So at that point, you're just trying to create a spot for the geese that want to work to kind of focus on, and then you can shoot them right in front of you. And yeah, so. You know, I'm not big on decoy shapes. I like to look as natural as possible, but there are things you can do with snow goose decoys to manipulate where they want to be. And one of those is piling your decoys up around where your hide is, or where you're setting, where your blinds or whatever. Pile your decoys up right there, and then that kind of breaks out where you're at and everything. And then they like to focus on the sound too. So, you know, if you're running 2 e-collars, if you have one downwind of you, turn it down, and then turn the one up around you up. They're the speakers around you up, because they like to focus on that sound. And when we run our e-collar speakers, we run them in a T or an X shape right around us, and that tends to focus those geese right over you, and they'll just circle, and they keep hitting sound as they go. And I usually face my speakers up, and I usually like to run it on half. I don't like it blasting. You can blow geese out of your hole real fast with loud e-collars, and we've learned that the hard way too. Kind of do things now with flyers and rotary machines. It just depends on your geese. If you're watching geese and they're getting down so far, and then they start to kind of slide off and just fly away, or they're coming down hard and then they start pumping or something, the first thing I do is jump out of the blinds, take a look at our hide and see if it needs corned up, see if we need more decoys around us, check if there's any empty shells laying or shell holes laying out that's shining. Just look for something that the geese might pick out, because they'll pick out little details. And if you do that and you make sure you tidy everything up and you get back in the blind and another group of geese does it, then that's when I'll start taking my rotary machines down. And if the next bunch does it again, I'll take my flyers down. And if that doesn't work, then you need to go back to the drawing board and try to figure out, you know, maybe is my e-collar too loud or just something along those lines. But a lot of times if your hide's good and, you know, you're not seeing anything that's out of the ordinary, I'd take my motion decoys down and just rely on your decoys on the ground. But yeah, that's how we do things. Now, I'm not saying I'm the greatest snow goose hunter on the planet, because I'm definitely not. I just enjoy doing it. I'm very passionate about it, and I've done a lot of studying and trial and error with these birds. I've tried different things that's worked and doesn't work, and I just wanted to bring my knowledge of what little I know to bring it to you, so you guys can take it out there and use it for yourself, and so you guys can have success. So. But anyways, I think that about does it for the video. It's warm here in Missouri. We've kind of got a warm spell here. Hopefully it lasts a little long. I'm tired. You know, I'm not a fan of winter, so but it's getting me excited for snow goose season. It's going to be coming up fast. I know guys in Arkansas, they're probably itching at the bit because they're going to be starting here in a couple weeks. But we're probably about a month out at least. So. But anyways, I'm going to quit yapping, and good luck out there this spring, and I'll catch you next time.